Sir, I actually want to know the mid semester question that I have completed. Means I have written the question number 3B.
Look, I have already
and,
discussed about the mid semester question in my last lab. All of you.
But sir, tomorrow I was unable to join the class because in my area no electricity is.
Okay. Then it will ask you doubt in the WhatsApp. Okay.
Okay,
Clear?
sir.
Ask your doubt in the
And
WhatsApp.
Sir,
mention the question number. Mention your doubt clearly. I will have to check. Then I can give the answer. Okay.
Okay, sir. And sir, one more thing. Can you give today just a quick recap that you have taught yesterday?
Yes. I will do it.
Okay.
Yesterday I couldn't started any new topic. I just discuss about how we can perform basic array operations, and then they did the old program that we have already completed in our previous classes, like that how to represent 2D array, then bubble sorts, this program which you already done in our theory class. We have already done. So today I will just before we are going to start with a new topic. Today I will just make a recapitulation of the array operations that we covered in the last lab, and that is very basic. Okay.
Okay, sir. And sir, one more thing. Yesterday did you answer the bubble sort that will be time complexity of n means big O n?
No. I just forget to check the code. You please send me the code again. Okay. I will check it. Okay. The one person has sent me the code of linear search, binary search.
I'm not that one.
That code was not correct. I already gave them answer, but I didn't follow your code. You just send that code in WhatsApp. Okay. I will check it and then I will get back to you. Okay.
Yes, sir. Because I tried a lot. Because all the time we should have to use 2 loops continuously.
No, there is one more technique in bubble sort. Okay, that is a randomized bubble sort, which we can use to reduce the complexity of bubble sort from big O of n squared to big O of n. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Actually, the thing is like that. In case of time complexity, all of you are most of you have some questions that, sir, how we can decide that which time complexity is the lowest, which one is the highest. Actually, it's nothing but a calculation of mathematical functions, right? So everyone look at the picture. So n is our input data, right? N we actually contains n as our input data. That means number of data we have given input in our algorithm. Whatever algorithm we are going to use, it may be a bubble sort, it may be another type of searching, it may be any addition, subtraction, any whatever algorithm we are using. N will be our general variable that we are actually taking for representation of our input data, right? So we are actually using this big O notation. I already told big O notation is one of the famous notation, most widely popularly used notation, by the help of which we can represent the time complexity. Apart from big O notation, there are some other notations as well. There are total 6 kind of notations available. You will learn all these notations in your data structure classes in the next semester. Okay, where there is a big omega notation. Okay, big omega notation, big omega. Okay, there is a symbol of big omega, but right now I couldn't show the symbol here because in Word I will have to find out the symbol. I have to search the symbol. Okay, so big omega. Apart from big O, there is one more time complexity parameter, or you can say the time complexity symbol, by the help of which you can represent the time complexity of a particular program or a particular algorithm, right? So big omega is another kind of symbol. Then big O is there, big omega is there. Then big theta is there. Big theta is another symbol to represent a time complexity of an algorithm. Apart from these, there are a small o, okay, then small omega and small theta. So these are the various kinds. These are the total 6 number of symbols that we are going to use to represent the time complexity, overall computational complexity or time complexity of a particular algorithm or a particular program. But the most popularly used symbol is big O, this one. big O, the most popularly used symbol. Why? Because it has some mathematical explanation. Right now, I don't want to give that mathematical explanation. You will learn about it in the structure class. Actually, big O give you a concept of upper bound. Upper bound. Okay. Upper bound. What is upper bound in very general form? If I will give you some example to make you understanding of the upper bound, that means that is your maximum level that you can go up to which. Okay, that is called upper bound. So each and every person has a maximum capability to do a particular work. Suppose you are telling, sir, what is your maximum capability to do in a how many hours you can perform or you can do a work in a day? What is the maximum capability? So I can say you that I can do maximum 10 hours a job in a day. That is my maximum upper bound. So beyond that 10 hours, it's not possible for me, or it's beyond my capability that I can do what. Okay, so in such a way, these big O notations or big O symbols or big O notations, these are actually notations. Okay, time complexity representation notations. So this big O notation will represent upper bound, whereas big omega, big theta, these are actually represent some lower bound, or in average, big theta will represent average of lower bound and upper bound, in something in between lower bound and upper bound. So that's why we generally prefer to represent any algorithm and its capability or its power to measure the power of an algorithm always based on its upper bound. How much maximum that algorithm can take a time to complete. That is its upper bound. That's why big O omega is a more famous notation compared to other notations. It's more popularly used and more widely used. Okay. So these are overall explanation I'm giving. I think you can understood why I'm using big omega, big O instead of big omega or other kind of notation. Okay. That is the overall definition why we use big O. Because of the characteristic of this big O function is representing an upper bound. Okay. Upper bound to any function. That means how much maximum that particular function can work. That is called a big O representation. That's why big O is more preferable to use and more preferable to handle. Okay, this time complexity kind of thing. So this n can be an input data, right? So the lowest or the minimum time is called this big O of 1 is the minimum one. Okay, this is sometimes called a constant time. Constant time. That means some work that you need to do in a constant amount of time. Some work that you need to do in a constant amount of time. So that work is called the so the amount of time you actually take to complete that work is always constant. That means suppose you are doing one work today, suppose to complete that work you are taking 10 minutes time. So the same work you will do tomorrow, and tomorrow you will also take 10 minutes time. The same work you will do day after tomorrow, and at that day after tomorrow you will also take 10 minutes time. So whenever you want to do that work or you want to perform that work, always you will get similar amount of time. So that is called a constant amount of time. একই সময় লাগবে যে সব সময় ওই কাজটা করার জন্য for any condition in any amount of time. Okay, at any particular situation at any condition, the similar amount of time will be required to perform that particular task, and that time is called big O of 1 or constant amount of time. Okay, but কিছু কিছু job আছে, there are some jobs which you cannot do. You cannot say that always you can take 10 seconds of time to complete or 10 minutes of time to complete. It always vary. It always vary. Okay, যেমন ধরো how much time you will take to eat, to take a lunch, to complete your lunch. So in some day you will take suppose 15 minutes to complete your lunch. In other day will take suppose 20 minutes to complete your lunch. In some other day will take suppose 30 minutes to complete your lunch. So there should not be any measurable time or any fixed time or constant amount of time that you will require to complete your lunch for each and every day. For those cases, the others time complexity values are coming. Understood? বুঝতে পারছো কি বলতে চাইছি? Everyone understood the thing? Where we require constant amount of time and where we require the different kind of other kind of complexities. Okay. So the next time of next kind of minimum kind of value is big of n, where n is your input data. Okay, it's big of n. Then it should be big of, before big of n, it should be big of log n. It should be big of log n. Then after big of log n, it should be big of n, right? Then after big of n, it should be big of n square. N square, right? Now after big of n square, it should be big of n cube, some cubic term, or cubic functions. Okay, so dot 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 big of n to the power p. So any number of exponent term you can use, that should be a larger one. Okay, and the next one is big of n factorial. Okay, and the next one is big of 2 to the power n. So the highest time complexity of any algorithm is occupied is 2 to the power some exponent 2 to the power n, where n is the number of data, where n is the total number of data. Understood? So the minimum time complexity is big of 1. Sometimes it is called a constant time, then followed by big of log n. Okay, whose base is always 2. Big of log n, whose base is always 2. Then big of n, then big of n squared, then big of n cube, and so on. The exponentiation. This is called a cubic function. This is a quadratic function. This is a cubic function. Then quaternary function. In such a way, it's a polynomial. As a polynomial functions. Okay, p for polynomial terms, the number of exponents. Then big of n factorial, and then big of 2 to the power n. So big of 2 to the power n is the highest time complexity that an algorithm can occupy, and big of 1 or constant amount of time is the lowest time complexity that an algorithm occupies. Bujhte parle? Understood? Anyone has any doubt? Any problem? Hello? Is it clear to everyone? Anyone has any doubt?
Yes, sir. Understood.
So if you take how can we judge? How can you judge which one is the largest and which one is the smallest? So if you take any value, suppose the number of input there is 10. Actually, in real life algorithm, this 10 is a very minimum data. We should not take 10 as in a real life world data. In real life world data, that should be million trillions of data. Okay, it should not be 10. But for sake of simplicity, we'll assume here as 10. Right? So first, n is not there. So it is the lowest one. So whatever value you will take as a 10 as input data, or 100 as input data, or 1,000 as input data, or 10,000 as input data, or 1 lakh as input data. Always the time is constant. Okay, always your algorithm will take constant amount of time to finish its job on any amount of input data. That is a constant time of big of 1. Now we will consider, for sake of simplicity, we will consider 10 data for next cases. So big of log 10. What is the value of big of log 10 in calculator? Anyone can give me the value? What is the value of big of log 10?
1.
2 to the base 2. What is the value?
1.
Have you done in calculator?
No.
Log 10. 2 to the base 2, not 2 to the base 10. 1 is for 2 to the base 10. 2 to the base 2, how it can be 1? Okay, make it simple. 8. Suppose we will take 8. So 8 means 2 to the power 3. So log 2 cancel out. So the time complexity for 8 data will be 3. Will be 3 in case of big of log n. So whenever it is big of n, the time complexity is 8. Right? When it's big of n square, the time complexity is 8 to the power 8. When n cube, the time complexity is 8 to the power cube. Means 8 into 8 into 8. Okay. So in such a way, for any number of polynomials, the time complexity will be increased exponentially, right? And for this one, 8 factorial, obviously 8 factorial is much more than any kind of polynomial. And last one is 2 to the power 8, which is much more or much bigger than this one. So in such a way, the algorithm which will take minimum amount of time complexity compared to other algorithm, then algorithm will consider as a best one. So in case of linear search, if you remember, in case of linear search, always we consider the worst case scenario. I have already told we should not consider the other two cases, best case or average case. We always consider the worst case. So suppose we are judging a people, or you are judging a student, that whether the student is a good one or whether the student is a bad one in terms of study. So how can we judge? If the student will appear for any kind of test in any situation, irrespective of the situation, irrespective of the test, if the student stood fast for all kind of tests, so that student is a genius one. So always we will judge that particular student in a worst scenario or worst case. We should not judge the student in a best scenario or best case, right? So that's why we judge all. We want to judge all the algorithms that we are going to learn to in C program or in future, whatever algorithm we learn, always we will judge that those algorithms in terms of worst case analysis, worst case scenario. So if you remember that your linear search algorithm in worst case will occupy big of n amount of computational time complexity. Whereas in case of binary search, I have already proved it that the binary search algorithm will occupy big of log n to the base 2 amount of time complexity in worst case scenario. Okay. So obviously, I have told that big of log n is less than big of n, which has been written here. So that's why the binary search time complexity is less than the linear search time complexity in case of worst case scenario. Okay, that is the advantage of binary search over linear search. Obviously there should be some disadvantages also exist in case of binary search over linear search, but I am not talking about those disadvantages because those disadvantages is not related to time complexity. Okay, so advantages of binary search over linear search is related to its time complexity or computational time complexity of those two problems or two algorithms, right? Clear? Do you understand? Bujhte parle? Has everyone understood it?
Yes, sir.
Anyone has any question? Any doubt? So these things actually apply for till now, whatever algorithm time complexity I have shown to you, this overall concept I have applied. Your conception will be more clear when you are going to appear for data structure in your next semester regarding this notation. You will have to learn all these functions, big omega, big theta, big O in very details with these characteristics of functionality, how these functions are representing and how these functions will behave for different kinds of inputs. Okay. And there will be one more subject. In third year, we will find a design and analysis of algorithm. That subject is also very important, very interesting as well. In that subject, design and analysis of algorithm, you are going to learn all kinds of algorithms, the most important algorithms, and you have to deal with the computational complexity of all these algorithms. Okay, so you will learn 3 subjects. You are learning 3 subjects regarding these programs and with the in C framework. Okay, the first one is your basic C programming, then followed by data structure that you are going to perform with the help of C platform, and then design analysis of algorithm, which you are also going to perform with the help of C platform. Okay, so your C concept should be more stronger. Okay, whenever you are learned all those 3 subjects, right? Okay, so today. Let me discuss with this this thing. Let me continue with the discussion of 2D array or that matrix problems, matrix operations. So in last lab, those people who are present, I just make a recapitulation of that lab. In last lab, I have shown them how we can perform the matrix additions, subtractions, matrix transpose. These 3 operations I have shown them. Okay, how we can do that. So suppose a matrix addition is actually a binary kind of operation. I have already shown how we can represent a matrix with the help of 2 for loops. We can represent a matrix. We can read a matrix. We can print the matrix, or we can access all the elements of the matrix one by one with the help of 2 for loop, right? With the help of square bracket and along with the array variable, we are able to access the matrices, right? So these are an example of 2 cross 2 matrix. This is an example of 3 cross 3 matrix, right? As I already discussed in the last class. Now today I'm going to discuss what are the various operations that we can perform. In the last class I also discussed the basic operation. That means how we can calculate the diagonals, all the diagonal elements of a matrix, how we can print it, how we can do the summation of all the diagonal elements of a matrix. That I already discussed in the last class. So here I'm going to show you how the two matrices are summed up. All the elements of the two matrices are summed up and create a third matrix which will represent the summation of these two matrices. I think all of you know the operations of how we can do the addition of two matrices. So this plus is actually a binary operator. So it requires minimum two parameters, matrix A and matrix B, for operations. So we have to first read out this 3 cross 3 two matrices. Okay, you can also apply for 2 cross 2 or 4 cross 4 as per your choice. Okay, for sake of simplicity, I have assumed 3 cross 3 matrices. So this is matrix A, this is matrix B. I have already told these are the general elements, general form of elements that we are representing in terms of its indices. Okay, so to understand these operations, we have to understood these indices. Okay, that then it will be easier for us. Now, what is the role of matrix addition? How we can perform matrix addition in mathematics? In mathematics, if you want to perform or if you want to add these two matrices as stored into a third matrix, these are third matrix or the resultant matrix, right? So we have to choose element by element of individual matrix and add those two elements and place it into the same cell or into the similar position of the third matrix. What I have told, in mathematics, we have to choose element of a particular cell from both the matrices, add the value of those two elements, and place the result into the similar place or similar cell of the third matrix or resultant matrix. And that operation will be repeated or performed for all the elements of these two matrices. Right? So element by element, position by position, we have to add it. That is the matrix addition. So we have to first add A00 plus B00. So our first operation will be A00 plus B00. Right? Next one, we will have to add A01 plus B01. So our next operation will be A01 plus B01. Right? Element by element. Then next one will be A02 plus B02. Right? Element by element. Then next one will be A10 plus B10. Then the next one will be A11 plus B11. Then the next one will be A12 plus B12. Then the next one will be A20 plus B20. Then the next one will be A21 plus B21. Then the next one will be A22 plus B2. That is the basic or general matrix addition operation. Understood? প্রত্যেকে বুঝতে পারলে? Anyone has any doubt? Those who are new for today. Anyone has any doubt? Is it clear to everyone?
No, sir.
So
Yes,
the
sir.
same matrix operations, addition operation, we should apply in terms of C code. So look at the indices. Before applying the C code, you have to find out how the indices has been changing of these two elements, A matrix and B matrix. So look at the indices of individual cells. If you see that, you can notice it here that both the indices for a particular cell, both the indices of both the elements of two different matrices are similar. Ki bollam? For a particular cell, both the indices means row index and column index. This is for row index and this is for column index, I and J. So both the indices that collecting from both the matrix are similar for that particular cell. So A cell ta kshetre A matrix indices are 0, 0. B matrix indices are also 0, 0. For this cell, A matrix indices are 0, 1 and B matrix indices are also 0, 1. For this cell, A matrix indices is 0, 2. B matrix indices is also 0, 2. So it is very simple for us to decide that there should be only two loops will run. One loop for I indices, second loop for J indices. That means row and column. And for the similar two loops, we'll have to apply these two addition operation. That means we should not use two different I and J loop for A and B matrix. Why? Because A and B matrices are changing similarly in individual cells, right? So if we do the algorithm in such a way, we can see that, look at the code. This is the read operation of the first matrix with the help of scanf. This is the read operation of the second matrix, B matrix, with the help of scanf. These two are the print of the elements of those two matrices. That means whatever elements we have read it out, whether the read has been correctly done or not, that to check that one, we have to simply print the elements of those matrices which you have read through your keyboard, right? Now this is the summation operation, only this one. Only these 4 lines is the summation operation. So very simple. We have to first run the I loop. Then within I loop, we have to learn an inner J loop. Both should be start from 0 to n. And within the inner J loop, we will simply do this operation, Aij plus Bij. You can do this operation Aij plus Bij and store the value into a Cij third variable, and then you can print the Cij after it. You can do it. Okay, you can take one more resultant matrix, okay, as a third matrix to store the addition results, and then you can print the third matrix separately. So I'm just reducing that 2 separate lines into one line that I have directly print the values of Aij plus Bij together. So let's make a dry run of it. So I and j, so I is started from 0 to n. So for one value of I, j will be repeated for n number of times. In last class I have told, for one value of I, j will be repeated for n number of times. Why? Because until the inner loop will finish or exhausted or terminated, the outer loop will not be incremented. So first time I and j will be started with the values of 0 and 0, right? So for I equal to 0, j will repeat it from 0 to n minus 1. For I equal to 0, j will be repeated for 0 to n minus 1. Until j will complete its entire repetition of up to n minus 1, the loop will exhausted or loop will terminated, and then new line will be printed, and then it will again come back into the I loop, the outer loop, and increment the value of I by plus 1. And these things will repeat it until the I loop will exhausted up to n minus 1. Right. So the first value of I is 0 and the first value of j is also 0. So it should be A00 plus B00, right? So that should be our first operation. If you check it, A00 plus B00. Clear? Print it. Now j will incremented by 1. So right now the j value is 1, but the I value is still 0. So here we will take the n values 3. For sake of simplicity, we will take the n values 3. So j will repeat, start from 0 to repeat up to 3 minus 1, less than 3. That means 3 minus 1. That means 2. So j start from 0 to 2. So for I equal to 0, j will repeat it 3 times. 0, 1, 2. Right? So I for I value for the value of I is 0, j will be changes 3 times. 0, 1, 2. So in the first case, A00 plus B00, which has been executed already. In the second case, j has been incremented by 1. So right now j value is 1, but I value is still 0. So A0, 1 plus B0, 1. Right? So that will be our second cell value. A01 plus B01. Again, the j value will be incremented by 1. Right now the j value is 2. So 2 is less than n. Satisfied? So that's why I becomes, I is already, it's still 0. So 0 and 2. So A02 plus B02. So third element will be printed as A02 plus B02. Now this inner loop has been exhausted because it already reaches to up to 2 because the n value is 3. So less than 2. So right now when the j value is 3 after increment, this loop will exhausted and terminated from this loop. And you will get a new line. Whenever you will get a new line, the cursor comes from this side to this side. Now the next element will be printed from the next line, from the new line. Okay. Now the I value will be incremented by 1 again because I was started with 0. Right now the I value is 1, and this will repeat it up to less than 3. That means 2, up to 2. So right now I value is 1. For I value is 1, j is again repeated 3 times. J is 0, 1, 2. So for I value of 1, j is first repeated for 0, then j is repeated for 1, and then j is repeated for 2. In the first case, A10, B10. A10 plus B10. So in the next case, j will repeat it one more, j will increment one more time. So right now j value is 1, I value is still 1. So A11 plus B11. A11 plus B11. Now j value is again incremented by 1. So right now j value is 2, I value is still 1. So A12 plus B1. A12 plus B1. And then the loop has been exhausted, inner loop, and then again print a new line, and then again go for the I loop. Okay, and this is the last time the I loop will repeat it for the value of 2. So right now A20 plus B20, A21 plus B21, and A22 plus B22. So right in the last step, I value is still 2, for all the operations, but J value has been changing from 0 to 2, 1 by 1. Clear? Bujhte parle? Anyone has any doubt regarding this addition operation? Is it clear to everyone? Those who are new, is it clear to everyone?
Yes, yes.
So the same operation we can apply for the subtraction, because subtraction is telling the same rule. Instead of plus, we are using only minus here. The rest of the similar thing is there. Nothing should be changed. Subtraction follows the same rule in matrix subtraction. Okay, element by element, matrix subtraction can be performed in between two matrices, element by element. So instead of plus, we will replace it by minus. So that is a subtraction rule. Okay, so that should be applicable for all the cases, right? So here we should only change this symbol. This is plus in case of addition. In case of subtraction, this should be minus. The rest of the things are similar to addition operation, right? Now transpose. This transpose operation. This is the one of the most simplest operation in 2D array or matrix. Array transpose. So what is array transpose? Array transpose means we can take, obviously transpose is a unary kind of operator. It's not a binary operator. So transpose is applicable only on one matrix. Ektai matrix to transpose kora jay, right? It is unlike the plus or minus operator, transpose. Okay, so transpose is a unary operation. So it will, what is the job of the transpose, array transpose or matrix transpose operation? It will actually convert the row into its corresponding column. It will actually convert the row into its corresponding column. So after the transpose of the matrix A, if we transpose this matrix A, suppose the transpose has been written here. So this matrix will be transposed here. Okay, we'll perform the transpose here. So suppose these are the results of the transpose, right? Then how it will look like? So the row will be changed into column and the column will be changed into row. So row is replaced by column and column is replaced by row. That is a transpose operation, right? So A00, 0. Okay. So right now, one more row should be there. Okay. So right now, A00, this should be A01 and this should be A02. Right. So this row is actually changing into a column of the output matrix. That is a matrix transpose. Right. In the next case, it should be A10, A11, and A12. Second row will be replaced by second column. And in last case, it should be third row is replaced by third column. A21, A2. That is the operation of the matrix transpose. Bujhte parle? That is the mathematical operation of matrix transpose. Now, how we can implement these operations in C programming? Kibabe implement korbo operation take C programming? Very simple. This I and J position will be replaced with each other. That is the only option that we need to do. The very simple operation to replace the position of J and I with each other. That means instead of print A and Aij, we should print here Aji. Because I is row and J is column. Right now the row is replaced by column and column is replaced by row. Very simple. So that's why in this way we can create a transpose of a matrix. So we will run this one. Check it out. So enter the elements of array. Suppose 3 cross 3 array I have taken for sake of simplicity. So total 9 elements we should enter for A.